and I like to ask this question of people, and this is for y'all too. When was the last time you did something for the first time? What was it?
This episode is brought to you by
Time to shine, time to shine.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chat with Nick. And right here with me is Anyel Fields, and he is actually a chef and content creator and the founder of Culinary Addictions. How are you doing?
Oh, I feel blessed and highly favored. Thank you for having me on your program today.
Thank you so much for being with us today. And oh my gosh, can you guys see what we have here? Oh my goodness, look.
Oh, it smells delicious too.
And so can you tell us what we're looking at?
So I love to be creative. The wing is made with a blend of tamarind paste and duck sauce with some chili peppers. I glaze the wings and then I roll them in fried chicken skins. The tomato is an heirloom tomato. I made a tuna salad with some Israeli couscous, yogurt, some mayonnaise, little tahine, and some pickled cabbage, and as well as cucumbers.
That is so awesome. And where do you get the inspiration to make such a great creation?
Well, food, what I enjoy about food, it's got infinite possibilities. So, uh, for these particular dish, there wasn't any one inspiration. However, this tomato dish, I had, it was the first time I was dating online, and this Belizean girl I was dating loved tomatoes and loved crab, and so it was the first time I made a stuffed tomato with crab and couscous, and she absolutely loved it. It was a great picnic, by the way.
That is so awesome. And food is certainly one way to a woman's heart, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it's one way to a man's heart too, as well.
And so I noticed like there's like different kinds of flavors in this thing, and I just wanted to point out that he actually used like chicken skin from the Filipino store. I think he went to
Yes,
like
Island
Island
Pacific or
Pacific.
Pacific
Yeah,
Island.
and so he crushed it and used it as kind of like a chicken dust, right?
There you go. You get a little crunch with the sticky and the sweet and the sweet, tangy, and spicy.
Mhm. And so how did you learn how to cook?
Cooking, as my grandmother would say, is a lifelong practice. I started learning how to cook when I was maybe 5. With my grandmother and my mom. My grandmother would make me snap peas and shuck corn and make me earn my stripes in the kitchen and get to know the ingredient. And so I would say I've been heavily influenced in cooking from my late grandmother, Lonzetta Fields. We call her BB. But when I saw her cook with her neighbors and family, saw the joy. And that's one thing my grandmother instilled in me is that cooking is a way to share happiness with others and
Mhm.
joy, and putting your energy into it. And it's also a place where you can welcome people to feel comfortable to share feelings. My grandmother would be a shoulder to lean on for a lot of people, and so she would say, "Oh, just come on over. I got you. I'm gonna whoop something up." And so, learning from that, I'd say very much I owe a lot of it from my grandmother, bringing people together. Because
Mhm.
after all, who doesn't like good food? Doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, or what country you're from. We all like good food, and that is relative. But that pleasure and that joy of having good food is amplified when you're sharing it
Mhm.
with somebody
Did you
or
have a
people.
big family?
In my young years, I did, but as we got older, family fell apart and went apart. However, I found family in a lot of friends,
Mm.
and I am that guy. They call me for help on what to cook, or just come over and cook, or I like to just invite people over. Sometimes, I'll call somebody on a Thursday or a bunch of people and say, "Hey, I'm making this. Y'all want to come over? Bring some drinks."
So now we know where to go,
Right.
right?
I do want to do a lot
Anyel
more of
Fields of Culinary Addictions. That's who you should find,
it.
right?
Right.
And so you're actually drinking some sake.
Yes.
So
I
where did
got
you find that?
I got some sake at Mitsuya. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Market in Northridge, uh, down the street from here. It's a Japanese market.
Hmm.
I got it because I wanted to get some. Japanese food. Uh, to this is a dinner for myself. So I got some of the eel and some other cuts of like sushi, and I got some sake because I was getting ready to watch Shogun, which is a dope show on Hulu. So I binged 3 episodes and I had dinner, Japanese style with some Japanese with some matcha green tea
Mm-hmm.
too as well and some sake.
Oh
And so
wow.
this is one of my last bottles, but I don't know. I'm
It
in a
comes
good
in
mood.
cool packaging as well.
Right. That was the allure. I like the little bottle like that.
Yeah, I mean, just the packaging itself. Yeah, so where do you get all these, like, you're interested in, like, different flavors and different cultures and, like, different food from, like, all these various countries. So where do you get that interest? Like,
I think it's it's like curiosity is something everybody's born
mhm,
with. However, I think as we, haven't been, I haven't been a father. I am a father. I think this means more to me in terms of having creativity and that
mhm,
wonder of life and the unknown. And I think as we get older, before I became a father, and I can look back and say this, we lose sight of it. And that's actually it's almost like a fire. And if you let that die, I think I don't know, don't ever want to know what that's like. But as I became a father and I saw the importance of curiosity and the wonder in my daughter's eyes and the excitement over the littlest things, like the first time touching sand. And so those new experiences to me is like the nectar of life for me.
mhm,
And I consider myself a lifeaholic. So I enjoy new experiences. And when you experience something, food offers infinite possibilities of experiences. And so that's my draw. So there are times I've tried some things, I didn't like it, and I tried some things that's changed my life, and I tried some things that were in the middle of somewhere. So I always want to feed that fire of curiosity because for me, that is the joy. That is like, I don't know, the mountaintop of life and joy and happiness. And those first experiences are the only times you can have those. You
mhm,
can't rinse and repeat. We go back for the same dish and hoping to have that same experience. It doesn't have that for me. And I think I'd like to say for others, and maybe for you too, make those first experiences are often the most memorable ones. And
mhm.
when we have accumulated a lot of new experiences, in those moments, everybody goes through their highs and their lows. It's great to be able to lean on those go back into the memory banks and lean on those new experiences or try and recreate them to help make it a little bit more tangible of those past experiences. So that's the reasoning behind my curiosity and my
Mhm.
creativity. But in terms of inspiration, I'm open to wherever it may come. And sometimes, like I would say, probably the worst dish I've ever made, and I don't know exactly why I wanted to do this. I woke up and I wanted to make lobster jello. So it sounds ridiculous, but you know what? I did it anyways.
How do you make Jello out of
So
lobster?
I didn't want it to be a sweet dish. I had the idea I would cook the lobster and get the juice like from the lobster, mix it with gelatin to make like the jello part, and then I would take the meat of the lobster, cut it up, and mix it in the gelatin and put it. It sounds ridiculous, and it was. I don't
Was
know.
was it like that fishy taste, like that fishy flavor,
No,
or was it like did you have to put like some spices
well, yeah, I did
into
put some
the
spices,
broth,
but it just didn't work out.
or
And that's the joy of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And having the courage to try new things is part of my DNA. And
Mhm.
I've even tried balut. I'm not a big
You
fan.
have?
I have the little guy was in there like this, but my
Did you
Filipino
feel
friend,
like sorry or something?
right? No, I didn't. I mean, it was kind of when he looked look at me like that. But I tried it. My good friend Gilbert Molina. I hope you see this, Gilbert, because you're trying to get me. You're like, come on, you're always about trying new things. I took a bite. I couldn't.
You gotta be the man,
I
right?
couldn't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't finish it. So I tried it. It just wasn't for me.
And so let's go back to your memory bank. So you've had a lot of experiences, and this cooking and chef experience that you're doing right now with culinary addictions is a pretty relatively new thing, right? and I'm sure you've had a lot of experiences, and you've worked in a couple of radio stations, and you've worn so many hats. So, what's some of the memorable experiences that you had, like working in a radio station,
I
things
would
like that?
say, and actually, I'm looking forward to this Sunday, reconnecting with my staff or some of my staff from KPFK. I was the general manager there, and I enjoyed cooking and I enjoyed treating my staff well, and
Mhm.
jumping in the trenches with them. And I never wanted to be we've all had shitty bosses. Um, I wanted to be me, but also treat others with respect and appreciate them and value them. And so some of my fondest memories as a manager in a general manager, which was one of my biggest goals before I got into radio, is I wanted to be a general manager, and I spent about 15 years getting there. And so
So,
during the summertime, on Fridays, I would treat my staff to barbecue. However, I wouldn't order the barbecue, brought the barbecue grill to the parking lot, grilled up some meats, and there were a couple other cooks there too. Teddy, I remember you, Teddy, and Maggie. See you this weekend, Maggie. And we would cook and have a few libations. And for those that could get off early, because there's people that got to actually be at the radio station 24/7. It would be like a half, not a half day, but like get off a few
mhm.
hours early, and it would just give us a chance to bond. I mean, when we where we work, we spend so much time there, and especially away from home. Why can't it be a place that we enjoy? And well, maybe not all the time, but most of the time, or
Mhm.
at least half of the time. So I wanted people to enjoy themselves there, not
Mhm.
because of me, but just because there was a way for us to bond as human beings around food, and for me, that's what's important.
What was it like working in a radio station? But first of all, how did you get into radio?
I got into radio. This is going to be funny, and I enjoy sharing this story. I was studying how to be a recording engineer, and at the time, I was selling weed to make some money to get through college and have fun. And so there was this radio magazine called Hits Magazine, and I'd go to their location, and I'd walk around the office selling weed.
Was this in California?
This was in California. Hits Magazine was on Ventura and Sherman Oaks.
Mm.
And so one of the guys there, he had said, "Hey, you want to intern at the Beat? 100.3 The Beat doesn't exist now here in LA."
I remember that.
Yeah, so I said, "Yeah, why not?" So I did an internship there, and a gentleman by the name of Robert Scorpio and George Meng, they I was in awe at how much fun and joy they had in the work that they did. And so at that point, there was a moment where Robert Scorpio and Master P were coming back from lunch with some women. Hey, young man, we are into things. And so I said, I want to work in radio. And when I decided to do that, I was committed to one day running a radio station. I didn't know how I was going to get there, how long it was going to take, and that was my mountaintop. And so I paid a lot of dues to get there. I worked at a number of radio stations. I'd sleep in my car in between gigs, work overnights, Kiss FM, Ryan Seacrest in the morning, La La, Theo, even Rick Dees was
I
one of my
remember
mentors.
I used to listen to Theo a lot, and
Yeah,
Ryan Seacrest and
yes.
Dr. Drew and all of those guys. That was like, I mean, that was like a daily
Right.
thing for a lot of people, because there's no internet. I mean, the internet was coming up, but I
Yeah.
mean, listening to music over the internet wasn't a thing back then.
No, it wasn't. I mean, Napster came around, and it was like the beginning. However, I guess coming to now, after reaching the mountaintop before I went to KCRW, um, I kind of lost sight of my why, what my North Star, because I was
Mhm.
always pointing there. And like, once you
Mhm.
get to the mountaintop, well, what do you do? And so I went to, I kind of pitched myself to work at KCRW, and I spent a great time there. I want to also thank Jennifer Farrow, who took a chance when hiring me to work there. And my experience there further helped open up my eyes and helping me starting to think, well, where do I go next? What do I want to do? What's going to be my North Star? And after I left KCRW, because I really wanted to get out of radio, but I enjoyed working with storytellers and media, but I didn't want to just be, I mean, because nowadays I see media as, multi-platform, and there's a way to tell, telling stories and sharing content on the various platform, and the opportunity to engage with others
Mm-hmm.
too as well. So so having left KCRW, I immersed myself in that experience and these experiences, and so sharing cooking online has been a way for me to jump into the trenches, so to speak, but also work on my other side of creativity, and that's telling visual stories or sharing things visually. So my videos, I shoot, edit, I do everything myself, like Madam over here. There's a joy to it, and I've been wanting to immerse myself in this because I see it as a part of my longer journey. I do want to do documentaries. I've enjoyed doing audio documentaries. I want to go to places and tell stories that aren't regularly told, or work with people. I enjoy more of the executive producer side. I do enjoy being the talent too as well, but I enjoy being on the executive producer side because that's has been my strength in leadership and helping others and working with others to unlock their greatness or help fine tune their talents too as well. And so I've been fortunate enough and earned the good fortune to having worked with others and seeing them
Mm-hmm.
thrive and succeed, and in some cases reach greater heights than they've ever envisioned for themselves. I'm no motivational speaker guru, but I'm just doing my part in terms of the human
Mm-hmm.
experience and wanting to do what I can to help others and enjoy their human experience.
And so going back to your radio days, what does an executive producer do? What does a general manager of a radio
So
station do?
there are two different things. We'll start with the general manager. So the general manager is responsible for the entirety of the operations, the funding, the staffing, everything
Mm-hmm.
uh, in the station, the day to day. However, you can't wear every hat. So you have your executive staff, your leadership team, or your upper management. Then they manage the various departments. Also, as a general manager, you take responsibility for when things go sideways,
Everything?
right? Well, yeah, and that's just been my motto is if my staff, I was going to say fuck up, but you can bleep that out. Just in my code of conduct, I would take responsibility. I mean, if I had, answering to the board of directors, I would take responsibility. I wouldn't make excuse. I mean, there are some exceptions. However, I do hold, you got to hold people accountable. But as a leader, you can't just, I feel like throw someone under the bus because you are a part of their day to day. And so, um, there are nuances to that. So now an executive director is almost like if you can envision a general manager that sees a project from vision to final product,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not worried about the light bill or the all the other business operations too as well. They're more focused on seeing a project go from end to end, and one of those projects I enjoyed doing. It took 2 years. It was one of my most intense projects. I worked with a gentleman by the name of Mark Ramsey, who is a podcast guy. Look him up. He's done a lot of things for laundry, and so he pitched this audio drama inspired by Quentin Tarantino's life.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did was an audio drama inspired by Quentin Tarantino's life and how he grew up to make Pulp Fiction. So it's that hero's journey from a young kid growing up with just his mother to becoming, to all the trials and tribulations he went through to get to the point of making this Pulp Fiction movie, which wasn't his first movie. And so that experience of working as like an executive producer was a lot of joy. Mark Ramsey is a great talent, very great creative, and so as the executive producer, I had to interface with lawyers and distribution and all that other stuff, while the talent focuses on just being talent. And so that's kind of the things I've enjoyed. That's just one of many of the projects I've executive produced.
I'm assuming you've listened to a lot of music since you worked in a radio station.
Yes.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Well, I listen to all kinds of music. It's hard to say what. If I feel it, I feel it. I mean, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like food. if it's good and it's slamming and it's moving and it complements the mood and the time, I'll enjoy it, or I'll listen, or I'll find refuge in it. You know, there's times we go through sorrow and
Who are your
we need to
favorite?
hear some sad music sometimes.
Who are your favorite artists?
I would say Anderson .Paak.
Mhm.
As I love his talent. He's got a great range. Um, Anderson .Paak, Raskaz was one of my favorite hip hop artists. Fela Kuti too as
Mhm.
well. He's not long transitioned to ancestorhood. Those are to name a few. I like David Guetta. You know, I moved to some David Guetta. Of course, Bob Marley. I mean, a lot of the greats. Action Bronson. I love Action Bronson, especially um, his journey from just being a cook to an entertainer. And I admire how he was how Vice created a show for him, and so
Mhm.
that's one man sharing his passion, not just in food, but he also mixes with music. And so I enjoy his lyrics too, because he's talking about food and cooking techniques and stuff like that.
Really connects to your love for looking for different flavors and learning about different cultures, listening to different music. And since you work at KCRW, and KCRW is known for presenting and putting out like new artists that we've never, like the masses have never heard of before. So who among those new or not so known artists would you say you'll get behind on and produce a record for?
Well, for me, I didn't really work with the music department. Although I worked closely with Enlit, who at the time was the music director. So it's hard for me to answer that question. But there is a DJ who used to do Morning Becomes Eclectic, Anthony Valadez,
Oh
who
yeah, we've
Anthony,
listened
Big
to.
O's brother, he left KCRW recently, but Anthony and I went to CSUN together, and we love getting when we get together. We talk about some of the old days, as old men do. But I would say he was one of my favorite DJs there. I mean, maybe it's unfair because we have some history together, but I look forward to seeing what Anthony does next.
Mhm. And so going back, I'm like looking at your food.
Taste it, taste it.
I mean, it looks so good. I don't want to destroy it. I mean, it's so pretty. Everybody, look. And so going back to heirloom, like this is an heirloom tomato, and just like families and our ancestors, we have a lot of heirlooms and things from the past. Is there anything that you remember from your grandmother or anything from your family that made you want to go into cooking?
um, well, as the eldest of four, um, just I guess just with my family's upbringing, the eldest, you had more responsibilities than
Mhm.
everybody, all the other kids. So, and particularly my mom, single parent, somebody had to watch the kids, somebody had to feed the kids, my siblings, and so my sister lasted this because I would try and get a little fancy with ramen back in the day. But I would say it was a bit necessity. It just was a part of our culture. It's hard to I mean, country. My dad's side, my grandmother, very country. Food was a big part of it. My mom's side, Caribbean village life. And we spent some time out there in the Caribbean. Food brought the family together. And I would say part of the biggest joys of those memories is when people helped make the food. You
Mhm.
didn't have to be a cook. If you didn't know how to cook, you could cut onions. If you don't know how to cut onions, you could snap some peas or shuck the corn or wash the dishes.
Yeah.
So it became a community affair. And you know what? Human civilization was built on food. And when food became, we had agriculture and families coming together, villages, and then villages, cities, countries. So it's it's I don't know. I guess I'm trying to describe something that is the cornerstone of the human experience, and
Mhm.
that's food,
Yes, and
along with a number of other things.
it's a very communal process because just having the ingredients, the ingredients come from different farms and goes through the hands of different people. There's
Yeah.
like middlemen, from the farms before it actually comes to our table,
Right.
right?
And so in our modern day, you know what? I'm thankful our ancestors paved the way for us to have the privilege, the joy, the luxury, and sometimes we're not very thankful of it, of having access to so many different
Mm-hmm.
kinds of foods from different parts of the world. And particularly here in LA, it's like a melting pot. There's people from every continent here in LA. And I'd say over the last 10 years or so, it's great that people are becoming more conscious of what they're eating and people are sharing their culture through the food and then the fusions or just like the Kogi truck. I mean, hey, Korean tacos. I mean, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
this. So when you have access to all these ingredients, I mean, for me particularly, I tried to also understand where that ingredient or that style of cooking or those flavors came from. But I am, of course, caught up in the trappings of the American life of not. I mean, I have to seek some of this stuff out. It's not readily available. Like kombucha. Where did kombucha come from? My brother loves to brew his kombucha, which I'm looking forward to tasting tonight. Um, but so for me, food is it's not unlike a musician's music. I geek out on food and ingredients. So sometimes, like I just got this the other night. I've never used it before or tasted it. Black vinegar, and so this is like a Chinese thing, and they put it in like
Mm-hmm.
soups and stuff like that. So I look forward to having fun with this. Like this is a
Yeah.
joy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, me myself and a bottle of black vinegar.
How appropriate.
Right.
Oh my but it's so awesome that you're willing to try, and it's that, like what you said earlier, it's that, curiosity for like trying different things. I mean, which is really awesome. And you mentioned your new projects earlier, so you're going to be working on audio dramas. So what are audio dramas?
So audio dramas, if you go back to the old radio days, you'll hear it's the theater of the mind. So it's like watching TV without the visual.
Mm-hmm.
And some audio dramas have a narrator that describe what's going on, and then you have the actors voicing. And for me, I really love a good audio drama. Sometimes my daughter, when she was young, and it would drive her just to and from school and wherever we're going, she would kind of get sick of it, but then she started to like it. So it's you hear, it helps. I don't know. For me, I feel like it gets your mind going because you
Mm-hmm.
visualize how the characters
Is
look.
it sort of like a modern day word for a soap opera?
Well, so, there could be some. There come in all genres. There's sci-fi ones. There's
Uh-huh.
westerns, romance ones. The romance. I was watching. I was listening to one with drama. A guy and a girl, but I wasn't prepared for it, so I'm just sitting in traffic with my windows down. And then there was a lovemaking scene in it.
Oh my god, were you like driving or
Yes, I was at
something?
the red light, and the people in the car next to it. I was like, "What
Oh
are you
my
listening to?" I was like, "I know it's embarrassed." However, it's not all like that. But I don't know, whoever made it, they threw that scene in there. It was quite funny. But I also want to do visual
god.
documentaries too, as well. And so there's a few projects that are in the works.
Where do you intend to put your visual documentaries?
Well, I feel I'm looking forward to working with folks and looking to build teams around the art of storytelling, multi-platform storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
I feel there is like one place you can tell like the whole story, and then there are various platforms to tell parts of that
Mm-hmm.
story, in which we all hope they go and listen or watch that bigger story. But sometimes there's little kernels or a little bit of the juicy parts of a story that you
Mm-hmm.
can repackage and put on a YouTube
Yes,
or
that
wherever.
is so true, and that's what a lot of influencers and storytellers are doing nowadays. You cut, pieces from the bigger story and put
Right.
it in the different social media platforms and things like that. So we've seen that kind of thing happening, and it's sort of like a metaphor, for the things that you're doing now because you're putting together like a dish like this.
Hmm.
What do you call this dish?
There's no name for it.
Chicken wings
Oh well, I call
with
this
chicken dust.
this one I made particularly. My brother, he's doing his for his birthday party. We're doing a wing party, so everybody's got to come with a wing. So I spent some time kind of developing this wing. I call it the dark wing, but it's to throw to some of the fond memories I have with my brother. We used to watch Darkwing Duck together. I don't know if some of y'all might be too young for that, but Darkwing Duck was was like Donald Duck, but Batman Donald Duck. So
Where was that show?
I don't know. We'd watch it like Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, they probably have it somewhere out there on the
I've,
Disney
I've
Channel.
never seen it.
Yeah, Darkwing Duck. My brother knows it. So, so I named this the Darkwing, and this other dish I have no name for it. It's just a seafood salad and a tomato.
That is so awesome, and it's really pretty, and I don't want to destroy
Please, at least
mine.
taste it. It's got to get destroyed.
Oh my gosh. And so speaking of destroy, what are the things that you want to do to sort of like shatter the glass ceiling or, break barriers, so to speak, or disrupt specific thoughts, like thought processes? I mean, because with what you're doing with cooking, it's sort of like disrupting what we're so used to. You're doing a lot of like fusion cooking, and here in LA, we're so lucky because we have all kinds of food,
Right.
right? There are people like you are willing to try different kinds of cuisines and flavors and ingredients. So in that sense, like, how do you want to disrupt the status quo?
I would say going beyond just food, but this is sort of my philosophy and my mantra is, and I like to ask this question of people, and this is for y'all too. When was the last time you did something for the first time? What was it? I love to ask that question of others, and I love to ask myself that question. And so, as we were talking about different foods and trying new things, the greatest joy, some of the greatest joys and pleasures are beyond what we know and what we've experienced. However, it can be scary, yes, because also there lies maybe some of the greatest pain, but also some of the greatest pain can transform you into a stronger version of who you are. And I don't just mean physically. I mean, if you're going to go through pain and disappointment, you might as well get some dividends from it. Utilize that to become a better person or wiser person. But don't let it build walls and stop you from going beyond your comfort zones and what you know. Sometimes, I don't know, for me, I would say that's been the greatest moments of my life are those. And I'll hit on a personal note. I was afraid to become a father. I didn't want to, and it was an unknown for me. And as I built a relationship with my daughter from infancy to now she's about to be 21, we're going to Vegas. Um, I find joy in it, and I continue to not get comfortable in being a father because I want to always strive to be more. And that's coming from someone that's never had a father. And so that's just my mantra of life. And one shatter ways of thinking is it's okay to play it safe, but it's so much grander, and you'll live a more exciting life as you have more new experiences, not just for yourself, but create new experiences for others too as well. And so it's just kind of contributing to that ecosystem of joy and happiness. And just the most important thing is the human experience. It's not going to be all happy. It's not going to be all joy. It doesn't have to be all despair and all sadness either. But it's a wide range of those experiences. So my thing is liberate yourself, free yourself from the shackles of expectation and comfort. When I'm saying speaking comfort metaphorically, I do love my comfortable bed. Don't get me wrong, but break those shackles of expectations and wanting to always stay within your what you know. Go beyond that, and I guarantee you, you will find disappointment, you will find pain, but I just as much you will find joy, excitement, and you may find your new inspiration or a solution to a problem that's been plaguing you.
What is that thing that you did for the first time?
The first thing I did for the first time, um, you know what? I went on Top Suit at Magic Mountain drunk.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they had
Did
a
you
party at Magic Mountain
did you like
last
throw up
weekend.
and stuff?
No, I had a blast. Me and my friends that went, Jayla and Ryan, it was good times out there. But that was the first time I've done that. I am also, just before you showed up, I booked my trip to Colombia, Cartagena, and I've never been there before. I'm so excited to go and do that. And tomorrow, I haven't finalized the plans yet, but I do want to go to a hot springs tomorrow. So that might be my next new thing.
Definitely look forward to that first time that you're going to a hot springs.
Yes.
And this is gonna be my first time trying Anyel's food. So there you go. That's the
Dark wing.
So that's glazed chicken wing with chicken dust and heirloom tomato with a seafood salad and couscous inside. Isn't that beautiful? So, ladies and gentlemen, Anyel Fields of Culinary Addictions, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being with us.
And as I like to say, stay hungry, my friends.
And stay hungry. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Time to shine, time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah. Time to shine, shine bright, be the star you are, yeah.
Don't miss out. Want to be seen? Want to be heard? Want lots of exposure? Ask us how.